back to another devlog. This is week number 84. So, um, I started in basically on Sector 1 this week. I got a head start. I had pulled a lot of buildings from this asset pack, this warehouse asset pack. For this last scene, it was more like an industrial slum kind of scene. I got the rain back on. Um, and had the wetness decals to look accordingly. And I just did what I usually do, kind of decided the design with the specification and just kind of filled in and constructed the levels. I guess it's going to be a really relatively short devlog this week. It was basically all level construction. I was really pushing to the finish line here. And I was surprised that for this reason, this scene actually, I thought that it would take me at least 2 weeks to do this scene, but it only took me an entire week. Like, I was making really good progress. So by the first day, I had already done Sector 1, and I was on to Sector 2, like 80% done with Sector 2. And I just kept going, and I kind of decided to do like a cut this up into different lanes, like up and down. And like just building. So I had a nice variety of these shanty buildings, and I mixed it in with the other shops, and just added. Um, the nice thing about these, it already has a bunch of little details already, so I don't have to individually place them. I really figured out how to like leverage their art assets, versus doing all the little details myself. Like I might do some details, but I try to keep that to a minimum. Like I just add a little graffiti here and there, or maybe a burning car or whatever it is, just that just to fill out any spaces that feel a little empty, a little blank, little lifeless. But yeah, got this area done, Sector 2, and I was moving right along. By the time I got to Sector 3, I was realizing, I was like, wow, I'm really progressing very quickly with this scene. Is it, you know, am I not getting quality? Like, no, I've checked for quality, and like everything seems filled and up to that quality standard. It was just because I later figured out it was because that I didn't have to do a lot of like facade customization, individual detailing. That's what takes a lot of time. I still had to do like sidewalks and stuff, and like adjusting manually sidewalks to make sure they fit. But like these little walls here, they fit together pretty good along the curve, and these lights, it's like I didn't really have to do a lot of manual adjustment work just to make, but just constructing to make sure everything looks right within the camera frame and all that, and adding a few lights here and there just to make sure that it all looks good. But it went surprisingly quick because these little shanty buildings, you put them here, and I had a wide variety that I pulled from, and if I kind of oriented, I had to do some of these. I had to do a little bit of work on each of these, kind of like move the pivot or stuff that didn't look right. I had to make small adjustments to the prefabs, like these little lights and stuff. But in order to get them from like 90% finished to 100% finished from pulling from the asset pack. So yeah, just it just goes to show, like, when you have like a built-up library of prefabs, you can like really reuse a lot of stuff, and it's like you don't, that initial cost of like building a prefab library for your game, like you can just like you can go a lot faster. And even this sector, like I was able to like really stamp out like a lot of these prefabs and just like do very minor customization, and like you can't, I mean, it's like this big sector would have taken me like 2 days, like for the design of other sectors, because I'd have to like go in here and and make little customizations to each little thing, you know, because it felt too generic or whatever. But like you can imagine, this fits. Like you don't have to do any like hollow ads in here because this is an industrial area. You don't have to do any cars or anything like that. It's just like right, you're just like cranes and crates, you know, and then I decided to use this like this for one of the sides, like a dock side with a water, and this side too, so that I didn't have to do a whole building area on this side either. So it's like, you know, it just went like double quick. Like by the middle of the week, I was already finished with Sector 5, and then I connected this up, and then even this sector, like I had pulled these assets. This was a little bit of work here, this building here. So they had two of these warehouse buildings. They mostly use the same facade, but the interiors are like different constructed. This would have taken me forever to kind of build each shelf and put each little item on, but I was able to go in and like mass select and make my own custom prefab. I had to do a little bit of work to the ceiling so that when you go into the interior, like you're not blocked, the camera's not blocked by the ceiling, but and adjust the lights. So this had a little bit of custom work to it, but I was able to make it look good for the camera frame. I was happy about that, and this is where you get your dual pistols here. So, and then yeah, this is just like just a little bit of traversal, a little bit of extra traversal. No enemies here until you get to the final area, the boss area. So maybe you do a couple of pickups here. You get a few pickups for upgrades or whatever. But just a lot of traversal. You know, not really a lot of enemies. But again, there's another building here, and I was able, the problems that I had to solve for the other warehouse, I was able to apply here. Once again, remove the roof and make sure everything's looking good. And yeah, this whole thing, like I decided on this theme. It's just like this end. It's just a bunch of. It's like you're going in between these like container rows. You can imagine, just like so. It's just gonna be like all boxes. So it's like it's not like I had to go in like custom um, detail anything. But I did have to go in and make sure and test that like the gaps between the walls that you can't like get through here and stuff. Like so I had to do a lot of colliders to make sure that the player is not able to get back here and fall off the map or whatever. So I had to test all that out, but that was a little bit extra work. But yeah, I got to the last warehouse building here, and pretty much the same thing. Make sure that the lights are adjusted and like make sure that the colliders are working and that anything that's blocking the player, that it's like an environment see-through, so you're not getting like hidden behind a wall or whatever. And I had to do a little bit of work to make sure you hide these panels when you go inside, and I had to make sure that the rain was not going inside the building, so a little bit extra like bounds adjustment there, but I got it all working, looking good. And this just outside area here, more of the same. Like, yeah, the prefab came with all these little details and stuff. I just had to make minor adjustments, sidewalks, lighting, and then like, yeah, like Friday, I was like pretty much 20% done with like this final area. Like, I got a lot of the things that I'd imagined, like the crane. I made some big scaling adjustments to the crane, but as I went on, I got the obvious things done, and then I kind of decided, okay, what else do I need? And I was kind of at the point where I was like, I don't really want to fill out the middle area, the gameplay area, too much. I want to save that for like gameplay testing. But the outside areas, I decided to do some detail work because that's not really the play area. It's more like you know, environment, aesthetic stuff. But I was able to, you know, do these crane lifts and dockside stuff, and it's pretty straightforward. I put my little, you know, boss prototype guy down here, and yeah, it's all ready to go for optimization and gameplay functionality testing. Yeah, this is going to be like the entrance to the underground level 3, I think. So yeah, that pretty much, once I got this like all the way like 100%, I couldn't figure out anything more to add or improve. Like that was it. That was level 2, you know. I mean, it's always a huge task doing a level, but you know, that's 5 scenes, like plenty of beats, you know. That's content. That's a set for your game, and that's level 2. I'd imagine I have to do 2 more to have a full game, but um that is another milestone completed. So I actually finished ahead of schedule. I had like 3 more hours left in the week or something. And the obvious thing next to do is to be able to connect up each scene with the actual scene loading, the system functionality. So I began doing that, and I kind of refreshed my memory on like how to do that, and it was a little different because I'm not doing elevator or stairs. It's just a direct fade out. So I kind of had to make a custom case and test that. And I got to like scene 2 to 3, and there was a little bit of a caveat. I was finding an issue with positioning the player again over like a vertical height, because some of these scenes they go from like 0 Y to like a minus 100 Y or something like that. So um, but I sorted that out, and I'm in the rhythm now. I'd imagine next week I'll be able to connect up each scene and scene transitions for the whole level, no problem. Um, the next obvious thing I think after that would be to test out level to level loading. Now that I have 2 levels, I can actually build functionality to make sure that once you complete one level, it'll load into the next level, something like that. Like that, instead of like on a scene to scene level, it's a level to level transition. So it's probably a little bit of new system work there, but probably not that much. And the system has to work a little differently. There's some functionality or things I can imagine around like checkpoints for level to level. Like it's just a little bit different of a paradigm in my system, but I imagine I'll be able to implement that functionality eventually, and then I'll probably save the final level to level uh, loading production test at some point. Maybe when I optimize level 2, I can do a build of like level 1 and level 2 and test out that level to level checkpoint loading works in a production build. So um, yeah, that's for next week. Once I complete those obvious things, and I'm ready to then I'm ready to put on my project management hat and then survey the landscape of where I stand right now with the project and kind of lay out the next big leg. Push everything to main and kind of decide on the next. It's been like a couple of months where I'm not even aware. I've been in level construction dev mode for so long. I'm not even aware of the overall project plan at this point. So I gotta kind of like refresh my intention on the roadmap for the next leg of the project. So that's about all I have to say for this devlog. I pat myself on the back. That's another level in the bag. I have a now the actual content environment length is not really a priority anymore. I can shift from the rote monotony of level construction over back to other priorities now and work on those for a while, which is not so mentally taxing, I believe. But there's still more work ahead, and we'll see what happens next week. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you later.